Hi, I'm Eric Lonneville, and I play Richie. Welcome to the Omega Man.
The Omega Man was based on the novella I'm Legend, but it was all about vampires, and it just didn't feel right to do vampires. So I have a PhD in chemistry, so germ warfare, chemical warfare, this was 30 years ago, but it was on my mind as a way you could wipe out civilization, so we used that theme instead of vampires. My husband was very spiritual, and he was the poet, PhD in English literature. I was the engineer, PhD in chemistry, so our two sides made up Neville's character.
I see where you do your heavy thinking.
One side keeps the other side going.
The cold scientist, the killer, and yet the compassionate person who is willing to sacrifice himself and through his blood save humanity.
30-some years ago, I was a young actor, impressionable kid who was really excited about doing his first feature, and I remember being awestruck because I was in a scene with Charlton Heston, and it was, it was a little overwhelming.
I'm beginning to see the light.
The thing that really stands out is he was so gracious and so kind.
I was a med school senior when they scratched the world. As a matter of fact, I was going to apply to BioWar Labs for my postdoc, but the next turn never came.
I'm sorry you didn't make it.
Sorry the world didn't make it.
There's a few scenes that I like, especially Mr. Heston's scenes. His comedy, when he's talking to himself, and the one-liners.
Hi, big brother, how's your ass?
And he did those really, really well. And they're very touching. They're very moving.
I thought Rosalind Cash did a great job. I thought she was really fun as Lisa. She had that black power panache, I must say it was my idea to make her black. I was teaching at a black university at the time, and this is the 70s, and black power was very big. So we were thinking, well, you have the last man on Earth meet the last woman on Earth. What's the conflict, And then we thought, well, let's make her black, and then we'll get a little racial pizzazz in there. And she did. She gave it to us. I thought she was great.
Your move.
I just made my move.
She was able to take this question of a color barrier, white and black actor, male, female, having a love scene, and I thought it was groundbreaking.
It has become a cult film that, people watch and people are frightened by and people are scared by.
The possibility of destroying humanity through biological warfare, it's a horrible possibility, and it's becoming more probable now, that we have more ability to do it.
My favorite scene, I would say, if I had to pick a scene, is when Neville is sitting in the theater and he's watching Woodstock, the rock and roll producer. He says a line about it's pretty sad if you can't walk out on the streets, and be a human being. It's great stuff.
A deserted city.
One human being left after germ warfare. He must defend himself against a group of demented survivors. In a new motion picture called The Omega Man, Charlton Heston plays Robert Neville, the sole uninfected survivor desperately trying to save the human race. The director of the film is Boris Segal. As he and Heston begin filming Neville's struggle, the actor must seek to understand the predicament of the character he's playing, and he searches for an authority on the sources of man's behavior.
Interesting kind of combination, I think.
The man I'm talking to is Dr. Ashley Montague, the well-known anthropologist. I'd read some of his works and found much in them that seemed to me relevant to the characterization of Neville. When we heard that Dr. Montague was in Los Angeles, I invited him to visit the set.
Of course, his prime concern being his own survival and defense. I suppose the ultimate extension of man as a killer ape.
And this is where his culture had failed him. Here he was, a scientist and a military man, and interested in maintaining his society when it was threatened by an appeal to the force.
To depict how Neville deals with this threat, the company has to work in Los Angeles on Sundays and holidays to get the look of the city abandoned. Heston and the director prepare for a dangerous ride through streets cunningly booby-trapped by the others. Though Robert Neville's scientific background equips him to cope with his desperate circumstances, Heston expresses concern over his having no one to talk to.
I think this chess table is a demonstration of one of the parts of Neville's character that interested me the most, and that is the fact of his solitary life, being alone. In the piece, he plays chess with himself, or in fact, with a bust of Julius Caesar, which comes to the same thing, and we're never quite certain of the degree to which he is aware that he is making the moves on both sides. It's a difficult condition.
Did you move? He used to be a nice guy once.
To be healthy, to retain your sanity, means to be involved in the others.
In mankind, to be involved.
Indeed.
You know, this rationalizes and answers a question that I'd thought about a little, because Neville could have fled the city,
yes,
where he finds himself death waiting around every corner.
Yes,
really.
he could have gone anywhere, but there was nowhere to go.
In other words, you're suggesting that it's better for him or for any creature to even be surrounded by enemies than to be surrounded by nobody.
But in Neville's nightmarish reality, his enemies who can only see in the dark are trying to destroy him. Outside his fortress, technicians prepare a crude catapult, which is no match for Neville's sophisticated weaponry. Unlike the others, Neville seeks only to defend himself while looking for their cure with his scientific know-how.
Over in the laboratory section of Neville's nest, we can see how much of his life and how much of the civilization of which he was the end product was spent in simply the pursuit of naked truth. What do they call that machine, for example?
Well, that is a Coulter counter, which is capable of analyzing from 9 to 12 or even more different substances in the blood simultaneously, and in a few minutes giving you the exact characteristics of each of those substances.
But it can't detect the proportion of passion in the blood.
No, I'm afraid that this is a human trait.
Neville at last is able to reach one other survivor, portrayed by Rosalind Cash, trying to save her with his own blood serum. And in this contact, he revives his human passion, his emotions, his sensuality.
Action.
Now, what you thinking?
Well, you know the old song? If you were the only girl in the world and I were the only boy, okay, but till then, don't bother me. I guess I'm the only boy.
family.
Forgot to keep the fuel up in the generator. They'll be into the garage. You stay here.
What's this for?
Comfort.
The company shoots another part of Neville's struggle to carry on a normal day. He has been frustrated in communicating with the others because they only look to destroy what he stands for.
Trip to the Laughing Academy?
It seems to me that, at least I'm kind of playing it in these terms, that although Neville is physically healthy, is immune to this germ, that his life, his paranoid existence has produced a kind of psychosis.
Exactly. And this is, of course, the model and the pattern and the image of the condition of contemporary man. That Neville really exhibits the psychosis that most people in the Western world are suffering from at the present time. They're all suffering from the psychology of the survivor.
On Sunday, the company works on the Omega Man. And as he continues to play out his role, Charlton Heston is coming to learn about Robert Neville.
There is no phone! There is no phone ringing! No phone! It's almost dark.
Tus trailers. Visita mi canal.
You could say he's a man trying to survive his own survival. His loneliness, his boredom, his inability to communicate with the other survivors who see or think they see the kind of man he is as evil.